Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. Today we've got one of our discussion videos and I've got my main man Liam or Weagle here. Say hi Liam.
Hello guys, we're going to be doing a meta prediction video. A lot of things have changed and we had a massive session on the game last night. Things are already very noticeable and I want to jump straight into things. I want you to let us know what you think in the comments though, and we think that damage might be making a little bit of a comeback. The reason that triple tank was so good last meta was D.Va being so strong, Anna being so strong, but particularly D.Va. She could just deny damage and it would make it so hard for McCrees to deal damage or run away, or for Genjis to do damage. It'd be very, very difficult. So Soldier was the main man because he could heal himself, do very good damage against all the tanks. He could run away very fast as well. So I think straight away we're seeing the return of damage, and particularly for me, what I'm enjoying already is playing some more McCree again. Now, as Ed is a McCree enthusiast, I think I'll let him talk a little bit about that.
So McCree, those of you that watch the channel will know that I've played McCree for a long time. I'd learned other heroes and I've come back to him now, and I have to say since the patch, we were playing some games last night and we were fill picking and kind of losing, and I just kind of got a bit mad. Actually, I'm not even going to lie. I got a bit mad and I said, nope, I'm playing a McCree game, and this was on stream. So if you follow our Twitch, you would have seen this already. But I got a bit mad and said, nope, that's it, I'm playing McCree. And Liam was playing other DPS, maybe Soldier or Widow in particular, one example that I'm sure we'll talk about. And it just felt like there were less tanks on the field at any one time. Ana wasn't quite as efficient at healing them all. So even if there were quite a few tanks, especially D.Va, you could take her down with McCree and the damage denial wasn't as severe as it used to be. Because the main reason why heroes like McCree weren't getting played that much was because D.Va never died. Liam's already mentioned that. But now you can still use her. I do want to raise that point. You can still use her, but you just can't stand there and take infinite punishment and use your defense matrix, so DPS heroes are useless. Now, in the games that we were playing, it really feels like a lot of the DPS heroes or damage heroes are coming back, especially the skill shot ones, you know, the burst damage skill shot heroes. I think Widow is going to see a bit more use. I think that she's very useful. But McCree in particular, it was always true that if you were hitting your shots as McCree, he could still delete things, right? That was always the case. If there were, say, 4 things on the enemy team that had over 400 HP, you couldn't 2-tap those, right? I think there's going to be less of that in this season, and he was just a lot of fun to play. He really was. If McCree is more viable, then that also brings in other heroes, particularly, I think, Genji. With Genji comes Winston, and I think things are just going to shift around a bit more. I think dive comps are going to make a bit of a return, but burst damage heroes like McCree, like Widow, I think are going to be better.
I think something to weigh in on with Genji is that when Genji was being played and there were too many tanks on the screen at once, what was happening was if you played Genji, yeah, you could probably get in the backline and kill Soldier. A lot of people are worried now that Soldier's going to be really powerful. You could do that with Genji before, but when you did, you then had too many tanks to contest with. So it just made you pick a similar comp to the enemy team. So you'd be diving with a D.Va instead. And now Genji can be used again, because if you are Genji and you do go and get a kill, there's still more things you can do damage to on the map because there's not tanks everywhere. And I think that's why Genji is good too. Now back to the Widow thing, when a D.Va was flying at me yesterday on the patch, she didn't have a defense matrix and she tried to do the old D.Va style, just fly at a Widow and get a free kill. Well, because she played that badly and she flew at me and she didn't put a defense matrix up in time and she chased me for too long, I was able to get a good headshot on the mech and then just finish it off by spraying with the rifle. Now D.Va should easily counter Widow all the time, but now if you don't play it properly, you will be punished for that. The only hero I'm not sure about is actually going to be Reaper. I think Reaper will be a bit of a niche pick. As Ed said, it's going to be more fluid now. So you get a Genji on the map, well, you might get some more Winstons now, and then that may enforce a Reaper pick to stop the Winston, and we're back to a little bit of this counter-picking kind of a meta. Now, the start of the last meta felt good, but then tanks took over very quickly, and I'm just hoping that there isn't some secret meta out there we don't know about yet that's even worse than the triple tank. But I think overall, damage is going to be making one hell of a comeback, and Soldier's being put more in his place. Now, we made a video about this last week, and some people weren't very happy because they felt like Soldier was going to be very, very good as soon as all these nerfs dropped. He would just kill everything, but the thing is, he's not great DPS against other squishies. So as I mentioned, with Genji coming back in, Soldier's not going to be as good as people think. Also, McCree does simply do more damage. So I think that Soldier is also going to be in his place now because of all of the other changes. The last DPS to talk about, I think, is Pharah, who was seeing some use in the tank meta. And now I think we could be seeing even more of it. But I know Ed wants to weigh in on that, so go.
Yeah, so I think that Pharah is one of the more unique threats in Overwatch. I think if you ignore a Pharah and don't deal with her, particularly if she's being pharmacied, that is a quick way to lose a game, actually. And I think with more squishies on the field of play, despite the hit scans kind of returning, I think Pharah is going to be very, very good, actually. I think good Pharah players, like really top-level Pharah players, are rare. They're rarer than the other DPS, I would suggest. And I think if you are a good Pharah, you could be in for a good time, actually.
I think that Pharah is also very good with a Mercy combination because you can follow around, you can heal her and damage booster. And now with the squishies again, hopefully being back in the meta, Mercy's res will have more value. The problem before was Ana was so good at healing, even when you resed your whole team, everything has 400 HP because there's so many tanks. And it only becomes an even fight. Whereas when you're doing this in a meta where there's more squishies on the board, when you res things, it just has a better effect. Whereas in the tank meta, Ana was just like, well, I'm healing my whole team anyway. By the time the res goes off, the enemy team are all healed and you're back at an even fight. Whereas Mercy's res used to just have this massive advantage as soon as you had the res. And I think it'd be good to see her back in the meta too, because I like her. I think she adds a dynamic to the game that wasn't there for an entire meta. So I don't mind seeing her back. It's really annoying. I hate when there's a Mercy that's playing really good. But despite what people might think of us, we really do want to see every hero be viable in the game. And we did say the D.Va nerf was going to be fine, and I think it is. And I think that that's what we'll move on to now. I will start with the D.Va nerf. We've already mentioned that she can't just go unpunished now. And that's exactly where she needs to be. She's still a very, very good dive tank. Her damage isn't as bad as people thought it was going to be, and she still has defense matrix that can block like everything in the game, right? It can block most ultimates. The only thing it can't block is like Zarya's beam and a couple of other niche things, and Roadhog's hook. Exactly. Now D.Va's still very, very good. I played her last night quite a bit. You just can't fly at things and expect to get away with 1v6ing people. Now you think about it, you pounce at the right time, defense matrix is still super powerful, and her ultimate's really good too. She has still the most health in the game, I believe. She has 600, right, with 200 armor, which is more than anyone else.
No, she has 400 health, 200 armor, so
yeah,
600 in total.
Yeah, that's the most in the game still, right? I'm pretty sure. Anyway, she has a lot of health, and her ultimate, when comboed, does the most damage out of anything in the game. So D.Va's in a good spot, actually. She's not going to be incredible every pick, but I think you'll find if you are good with her and you make picks with her now, people aren't really expecting you to do that, and I think that it's a very good pick. So Ed, talk us through Roadhog.
Okay, so Roadhog's quite interesting. Me and Liam were both talking about it. We think that the nerf, quote unquote, that happened to Roadhog is one of the best adjustments they've ever done, actually. I think they've done a great job in both making it feel fairer to Roadhog in that if he does get a hook, they're not going to go further away from him, or they're not going to go to a distance where he can't one-shot them, Ana. So what they've done is they've made it very certain that once he actually gets a successful hook, he gets a kill. Now, they've also made it so that if he breaks line of sight with you, he's not going to pull you through the universe, onto a different map, onto a different game. Like, you're not going to suddenly be on a Counter-Strike map from a Roadhog hook anymore. So that's good for both sides. It's good for the person who is going to be hooked, and it's good for the Roadhog. It's fairer, is a better way of putting it. I still think that his potential to insta-kill something every 6 seconds is incredibly good. And I think that if you leverage him properly, in a proper strat, he's going to be very powerful. But I don't think he's the one-stop shop answer to damage that he kind of evolved into because of other changes in the tank meta. I think he's fairer. I think he's still going to see use. But because of that, because of his hooks now being a certain kill on Squishy, I think Zarya is going to come back into play. But we'll talk about that more later. I think as far as the Ana nerf goes, you do notice actually that the biotic nade effects only last for 4 seconds and not 5. So part of the reason why triple tank might recede a little bit is because before, as Liam was saying, you could biotic nade 3 tanks and then you would have long enough to heal them all up to full HP in quick succession. Now that's not so much the case, so it's not as brutally as effective. But her nerfs, I think, are sensible, actually, and I still think her kit is incredible. I don't think Ana is going to be gone. In fact, virtually all the games we played yesterday, Ana was still there and being very useful and getting value. There's simply too much value in that kit for her not to be a highly picked hero.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. She's really good, but at the same time, she did have the biggest nerf as well, because Roadhog can one-shot her now, so she has to be careful of that. And her nade, as it doesn't let her heal extra damage for as long now, obviously she has to heal them quickly because the time's going to run out. But also, the healing that you get after the nade is also only 50%. So, before you could throw the nade down and you'd have 5 seconds to shoot 2 or 3 shots into every tank. That's easy to do, they're all at full health. Whereas now, you only get that 50% for a shorter duration. So you get it down on your Rhine, by the time you've healed him, it's probably not much time left on your nade, and you won't be able to heal everyone else for another 50%. I think that with Ana being nerfed, actually, tank players all around, not just D.Va, need to be more careful because she can't heal you. If you're playing Rhine and you've been playing him super aggressive and getting away with that, now, if you pin at the wrong time, she won't be able to bail you out of a sticky situation. So I think it's very important that all tank players are very careful. The thing about Ana is, yes, this nerf makes a difference, but the nerf makes a difference more to the meta than her character. Her character's still very good. Sleep Dart, I say this all the time, is still one of the most underrated abilities in the game because it literally wins team fights. It's that good. It's like a Roadhog hook. You sleep something on the right target, Ryan pins it, you're up in the fight, you can win the fight from that. Her nade's still great, and anti-healing is what the nade will be used for mostly now, and that's what you should be aiming to do, is actually denying the enemy healing rather than enforcing your own. But she's still very good. Wouldn't worry about Ana too much. It just doesn't allow tanks to be gods, I think, is the best way to say it. So that's all the nerfs that really make a big difference. Soldier didn't get nerfed, but from all the other changes, as we mentioned, he definitely will be used less or in a different way because he's simply not as good against squishier targets. He's just good against the tanks for the sustained, easy damage, and also because he was the only real squishy in the game that could stay alive versus all the tanks because he can heal and because he can run away from them. The last thing to talk about is Zarya. And Zarya's had many nerfs, but even in the tank meta was still pretty good. And something me and Ed were talking about when we were going to make this discussion was Roadhog's better now in some ways. When he gets a hook, it guarantees the kill. In the last meta, the one thing you didn't want to get hooked and dead was your Ana. And Soldier was also hard to hit as well. So when you would hook them, you wouldn't be guaranteed the kill. Whereas now you are. Well, the only way to always deny that hook kill is if you have a Zarya on your team. So if Roadhog's still really good, which we believe him to be, but people will have to be more careful with the hooks they hit, when you do guarantee the hook, you're guaranteed a kill. Zarya can bubble that, and that brings her straight back into the meta, in our opinion, because it gives her charge very easily, straight 40% if you hit a bubble on the right person being hooked. And with all the other squishies coming in the game as well, her ultimate's still one of the best in the game, where she can crowd control the entire enemy team. And if D.Va is also used less, that also makes Zarya's ultimate easier to use and capitalize kills on. So that's what I think about Zarya. Ed?
Yeah, I have a suspicion that Zarya players will have a good season. That is one of my predictions in this discussion, is that Zarya will be many people's pick for second tank, actually. I think it depends really how you're going to play. I think the dive comp is now viable, properly viable again. So she's sometimes used in that. She's used in a death ball. I just don't see a situation where she won't, if you're good enough, where you can't get value. I think she's going to be very, very strong. It feels like the meta is in a better place. Obviously, this is just after the patch has come out and people are now starting to play for real. I do think triple tank is actually playable. I think you can play that way, but you can't do the solo queue thing, pick 3 tanks and assume you're going to win. I mean, you can do that anyway, but that's how people tried to play it. It is still a viable tactic. I just feel like things have shifted around in a really interesting way. And for me, the most exciting thing is that damage feels like it's back. Skill feels like it's back to a certain extent. Because I think the one thing that people underestimate about D.Va being so strong and being so good and being able to just deny an entire hero's value for a prolonged amount of time on a short cooldown. I think when that hero that isn't there as much, people will remember, oh yeah, if you're playing a good McCree and you peek him without a shield, you're going to be in for a rough time. And I think that's going to take a period of adjustment for a lot of players. I think D.Va being a dive tank, sort of like a Winston hybrid, but doing that sort of role is where she should be. I don't think there's any hero in the game that should just be able to front face damage and just take abuse without being punished. I think that leads to poor or unsatisfying play, and I think that's going to be less so now. So I'm happy about that. I know there's a lot of D.Va mains who aren't happy about that, but I don't think she's bad. I just think you have to learn how to play her right. And the same is true with a lot of the tanks now. So that was always true of Winston. All right, you couldn't play lazily or undisciplined with Winston. You would just feed. I kind of think that's where the tanks should be. Like it should be hard, right? Not mechanically like an aim hero like McCree, but in terms of game sense of like where you have to be in your footsie game, it should be on point. It should be hard to do, to get the value out of that hero. So I'm kind of happy about where the game feels like it is now. I don't know about you, Liam. What are your thoughts?
Tanks mean different things to different people in different games, but I think that's what mostly true in a lot of games is tanks require the right positioning. And I think that's exactly where D.Va is now. I think she's probably still better than Winston for a lot of people. Winston's still more niche than she is. I just think that she did need the nerf, and we really have spoken about that to death. Unfortunately, people take it as we hate her, and we really, really don't.
No,
she just needed to be in
the
right place. She just needed to be. And I think she is now. She's still really, really good. I played her yesterday, and I don't play D.Va. If someone that doesn't play D.Va can get instant value out of her, I think it shows that she's good. Anyone that's really good with D.Va will still be a massive problem for the enemy team, especially when they're not really actively countering the D.Va because they know in their heads that she's had a nerf, and some people think she's rubbish now. So if you're still using her, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. But if you're out of your mech all the time, then that's the kind of D.Va stuff you could get away with in the last meta that this one just won't let you. It just won't. I like, and we've always advocated on this channel for skill shots being one of the better things to do in the game if you're good at it, and I would love to see some McCrees and some Widows and some Pharahs back in the meta so we can see more skill heroes be the star players and not someone that can just instantly deny everything in the game, and fun ultimately. D.Va would just deny fun, I think, for a lot of these skill heroes. So as long as we're not back at a place where healing's super, super duper powerful again, I think it'll be a more fun meta. So fingers crossed for that from me.
Yeah, I agree. I just, now that I think Zarya's going to be even better, I just think that I should main Hanzo. So you've heard it here first, everybody. So that was our video discussion, predictions. damage coming back. Just to summarize everything, damage coming back. D.Va where she should be. Some heroes are going to have a very strong season, we think. Zarya is one of them. So yeah, leave your comments down in the comment section below. Remember to follow us on Twitter. Be sure to check out our Discord and also follow us on Twitch to watch us tilt for your enjoyment live. That's been Liam and Eddy for Your Overwatch. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.